This video is for the person who has a disposition to worry about things in excess, to catastrophize the future, to feel bogged down by anxiety. In the world of lifting weights, muscle growth, fat loss, nutrition, and fitness as a whole, there are a lot of different things we can potentially spend our time worrying about. Worrying that if we don't get everything right, we're going to miss out on gains, or that we'll inadvertently run into an injury, or overeat or undereat calories, or that we'll fail to optimize our health in one way or another. The tendency to worry about all of the different variables that we can worry about can be problematic, but it can also, to an extent, be helpful, as it can lead you to be organized, to pay close attention to the details, to set a high standard for yourself, and so on. But worrying in excess can be debilitating. It can cause unnecessary stress. It can lead you to feel miserable, and it can even get in the way of getting results. I say this as someone who falls into this kind of disposition. I am, by default, a worrier. I wrestle with anxiety pretty regularly. And I'm someone who has, in the past, experienced some of the negative effects of having this kind of disposition when it comes to lifting weights and getting results. But this video is not at all meant to be all doom and gloom. While showing you footage from my latest full-body gym workout, I'm going to share with you two of the most effective strategies that I've found for fighting off and overcoming anxiety and worry when it comes to lifting weights, in hopes that it might be helpful for you too. From my experience, the good news about being someone who struggles with anxiety and worrying in excess is that you can wrestle with it, you can fight it off, and you can overcome it. And in doing so, in the context of lifting weights, you can have a far more enjoyable, satisfying, and fulfilling experience in doing so. Not to mention, you'll get better results to boot. Before I dive into it, if you find this video to be helpful, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Okay, let's get into it. Here are a few examples of the kinds of things I tend to worry about as someone who wrestles with anxiety. The prospect of experiencing a nagging pain or injury, having a bad workout or a series of bad workouts, having a bad sleep or series of bad sleeps, having ongoing high stress from other non-related fitness things, having an upcoming disruption to my regular routine that could lead to missing workouts or stepping outside of my regular eating routine, and even finer detailed things like second guessing if I'm getting enough micronutrients or moving with the most optimal exercise technique possible during my training sessions. Yep, I can and have found myself at times worrying about a lot. Again, don't get me wrong. There are some definite positives when it comes to being a worrier. I found it leads me to being meticulous to the finer details of being organized, planning ahead, practicing high-quality training, and eating to the best of my ability. It leads me to being prepared ahead of time, and I think that's something very helpful when it comes to success with fitness, or most things for that matter. But there are some serious potential downsides of being a worrier too, particularly when it comes to worrying in excess, like worrying too much on minor details or on things that you don't have really any control over. And ironically, it's that kind of worry that leads to unnecessary pain and probably worse progress overall. For example, worrying about how your high stress levels and a series of poor sleeps might negatively impact your rate of gains, it'll probably only add even more stress and potentially lead to even worse sleep. Or worrying about an upcoming busy and stressful work week that you have ahead of you. Worrying more about an already naturally stressful work week will only lead to more stress, which won't really help anything. So, as someone who is predisposed to worrying about things in excess, What can you do to stop the worrying? From my experience, it might not be possible to make your predisposition go away altogether, but there are ways to fight it off and manage it. And I'm going to share two of my favorite ways of doing that with you now. The first way to manage your worrying is to look at your past. Think about things you've been through before. Stressful work weeks, multiple nights of poor sleep, time eating outside of your regular eating routine, missing a workout session or two. When you think about those past struggles, what ended up happening? Well, you got through it. You're here now, aren't you? Maybe it was tough to get through, like a hard work week, and maybe it didn't feel great in the moment missing a workout, but at the end of the day, you got through it. Chances are, if you're a worrier like me, you probably worried about those points of potential struggle. But now, looking back and seeing that you got to the other side okay, you could probably say in retrospect that it wasn't worth worrying about any of those past events. It wasn't worth the anxiety. Why? Because the excessive worrying didn't help. You got to the other side and the worrying wasn't necessary. So, looking at your past and seeing all of the times that kind of thing happened, you can use reason for the next time you've got an upcoming struggle ahead. You can tell yourself, I've been through this before and got to the other side just fine, so I can do it again and don't need to needlessly worry this time. Now, I'm not saying you need to disillusion yourself with the prospect of something like a tough work week won't be that tough, because maybe it will be tough. Rather, that worrying about it any more than you need to just won't help anything. And that means you can use reason to discern that the next time you find yourself in a similar context, you need not excessively worry again. And that's the first strategy. Look to your past. The second strategy is massively helpful too, though perhaps tough to initially wrestle with in itself. It's to surrender to what is not in your control. I'll speak for myself and say that oftentimes the things I worry about most, or the things that lead me to feel the highest amounts of anxiety, are the things that lead me to feeling a loss of control. Like the prospect of having to miss a workout, having to step outside of routine to travel, or even things like second guessing if I'm actually training close to failure or not. I'll elaborate on this one in a minute. The thing about something being outside of your control is that outside of what you can control, there's nothing you can really do to change anything. After all, being able to control something that's outside of your control makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. So spending any time whatsoever worrying about things that are outside of your control just doesn't really help, nor does it make logical sense. I'll use that latter example I mentioned a minute ago about second guessing if I'm training close to failure not to explain. What's in my control is, well, doing my best to do as many reps as what I perceive as being possible in a set, whilst ensuring I don't injure myself, of course. If I'm being honest with myself, there's nothing more I could really do to ensure I'm truly training to mechanical failure or not. So why worry if I'm not actually training close to failure or not, if I'm honestly giving it the best attempt I possibly can to do so? Now, saying all of this is a heck of a lot easier said than done. Honestly, telling someone with anxiety to just not worry about it is oftentimes the absolute worst advice you could probably give. Again, this coming from someone who's definitely experienced that. Rather, the concept of surrendering to what's outside of your control is something, at least that I've found, that is best practiced on an ongoing basis. It's not an instant fix or some kind of magic pill solution. It's more of a kind of ammunition you can use to shoot at the anxiety monster when it jumps at you from out of the dark corner at the other side of the room. Think of the alternative, always trying to micromanage what's outside of your control. That's a path that leads only to frustration. Again, this is said from someone who's lived that way for a long time. So I'm telling you, do what is in your control. Check off all of those big boxes. And then from there, anything that's outside of that, surrender to it and shoot away at the anxiety monster. And there you have it. Being predisposed to excessively worrying or having anxiety can be a path that leads to misery and frustration when it comes to lifting weights, or anything for that matter. But the good news is you can fight it off. And using the two strategies, one, looking to your past, and two, surrendering to what is not in your control, can be the key to accomplishing that. I can speak on that from personal experience. So rest assured, if you're someone that has anxiety or who worries about things in excess, you're not doomed to feel bogged down by it forever. You can fight it off, overcome it, and thrive. At this point, I'd love to know your feedback. Did any of this resonate with you? Let me know your thoughts and insights in the comment section below. Before this video comes to a close, I want to let you know about the work that I do. When I'm not making YouTube videos or Instagram content, I work full-time as an online physique coach, where I help my clients to accomplish their muscle growth and fat loss goals by optimizing their approach to strength training and nutrition. And I coach them through the process. I've been doing this work for over 7 years and love helping my clients to not only transform their bodies, but ultimately their lives. If you've been considering getting some help with accomplishing your own physique goals, feel free to hit the link in the description below, where you can learn a little bit more about the work that I do and how I can help you. You can even use that link to schedule a free video consultation with me. If you have any questions about my coaching or how I can help you, just email me at sam@jadeathletics.ca. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.